Hello everyone, welcome back to the Bump and Run. I know I missed a lot and I haven't been uploading, and I have several reasons why I haven't been, but we're going to get right into that as well as discussing the Auto Club 400. Let's get started. So yes, I didn't upload a video discussing the duels at Daytona or the Daytona 500, and the reason being was because I got the flu that weekend. It was going through my family, and I caught it that weekend, so that was wrong timing, especially since I promised videos on those after the Clash, so I apologize for not getting anything out for that. And I also didn't get anything for Las Vegas for the same reason. I just wasn't fully recovered, and I was going to have a miserable time recording that video. I'm having a miserable time right now trying to speak English. But I did actually attempt to record a video for the 500 as well as Las Vegas, but I wound up talking for too long. I wasn't making any sense, so I just decided to start fresh this week at Auto Club. But really quickly, going back to the 500, the Daytona 500, as well as the Penzoil 400 at Las Vegas, I personally thought they were both really good races. For the 500, I thought, for the most part, it was a better race compared to previous years. I was just happy to see cars survive really to the end of the race. Obviously, you had the two big ones near the end of the race, which is common at super speedways, and I think there were a lot more clean cars that maybe finish the 500. But speaking of the finish of the 500, the Ryan Newman incident. Boy, when that happened, I wasn't really sure what to think. And really feel, really. I was 1 year old when Dale Earnhardt Sr. passed away after his accident at the 2001 Daytona 500. And ever since then, I haven't witnessed a NASCAR fatality. I've been around to see other fatalities in other motorsports, such as the Ep.2 crash at Spa last year with Anton Hubert. And I don't really remember the Jules wreck at Japan because I just didn't have channels really to see F1. But obviously that, happened in my lifespan. So I'm not used to seeing driver fatalities, or I'm used to, seeing that in other motorsports, but not in the NASCAR world. And so the Ryan Newman incident was scary. And Jeff and, Mike Joy up in the Fox booth, you could tell they weren't really sure what to think about this situation. A lot of people on pit road were pretty shaken up about it. I know Ryan Blaney seemed the most shaken up about it. And I think he's doing better mentally, especially knowing that Ryan Newman is okay after the incident. I cannot wrap my head around how that incident, the way the outcome of that, really was good compared to what it would be like decades ago. A wreck like that decades ago, we wouldn't be seeing what we, saw the days following the 500. Heck, it wasn't even a full 48 hours since the accident, and Ryan Newman was walking out of Halifax Medical Center with his two daughters in hand. That was amazing. So yeah, credit to the safety. I truly think the safety has gotten to a point, but at the same time, you can't ask to make the cars even safer. It's motorsports. It's racing. It's driving these cars to their limit at 200 miles an hour. Well, in terms of super speedway racing, that is, you're putting your lives, on the line. And I think that incident was really a wake-up call to both the drivers and the community that it's never going to be totally safe. It's not going to be 100% safe. Sure, we've reduced fatalities and things like that, but we still have accidents that lead to injuries. I mean, we look at this Ryan Newman wreck, and I think a lot of people forget the Almirola wreck back in, I should know what year this was, 2017, when he had gotten into that accident with Danica Patrick and Joey Logano, couldn't stop, and he wound up I think he fractured his T5 vertebrae. I should know that because I'm an Almirola fan. But you know, you can't make these cars completely safe. You're still going to have these injuries and things like that. So it's, again, remarkable to see Ryan Newman is, recovering. We know that he had some type of head trauma, but I'm looking forward to seeing him back in the car. The whole Roush organization, really, after these past 3 races, have been phenomenal. And so I'm looking forward to seeing Ryan Newman back in that 6 car. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if when Ryan Newman does come back, he's in contention to win races. Because, he was looking good in that 6 car. And heck, even Chris Buescher in the 17 is also looking really good too. You pretty much see him at least once, twice during a race. We saw him a bit in Las Vegas and definitely a bit at Auto Clip this past week too. So looking forward to Ryan Newman being back in the car. And as for Las Vegas, I am heartbroken that Chase Elliott didn't win that race. That was all Chase Elliott's race. I was astonished to see the performance of Hendrick Motorsports, and we'll talk a little bit about Hendrick Motorsports with our Auto Club talk, but they were looking phenomenal, and I thought Chase Elliott had gotten that win. It's a shame that they had an issue with the valve stem on his, I think it was left rear tire. It happens. Either the gun accidentally hits it, or even the lug nut flying, hits it and takes it off. But yeah, he ran a really good race. And that's great momentum for both him, the 9 team, and the entire Hendrick organization. Even all of Chevy, really. I think that builds some confidence into all the Chevys. I was hoping Ryan Blaney would possibly win that Las Vegas race, but it really came down to just great timing by Joey Logano. A lot of people hate on Logano, and I get it. It's the same thing with any other driver. But he ran a smart race. He was under the radar for the most part. I mean, under the radar as in Fox never really talked about him that much until close to the end of the race, but he played it smart. He stayed within the top 10 for a majority of the race, and was just lucky and got himself into position to win that race, really, especially with this aero package and car package, really, that is. These restarts at Las Vegas were just crazy and insane. Obviously, the last restart that ended the race under caution, it just got a little crazy there. Drivers just trying to get the most that they can out of their car. But in the end, Logano went on to win. Really happy about Matt DiBenedetto as well. I believe he finished, I don't know, did he finish second? I believe he finished second. I don't have it in my notes. I don't even have the finishing order in my notes. But yeah, I believe DiBenedetto finished second, so it's great to see him doing really good too. Glad to see him back on a Ford. Overall, especially with the 500 and at Las Vegas, those were just really good races. As a fan, watching it on TV, excellent. I really can't complain about it. I complain about the package a lot, but I think the package has really proven to be really good. Has really changed just how the Cup Series drivers race, really. And it's just cool to see that, for the second year, this package is kind of showing its full potential and what it could be. So with that, let's move on to Auto Club. So during the race, I was scrolling through the good old Twitter, and this is where maybe on the bottom of the screen I'll post it, but be sure to follow my social medias. I just recently got on Twitter, so be sure to follow my personal one, so you can stay up to date with things that I post and talk about, and potential upload dates and times for when I upload, as well as my esports accounts too, if you guys would like to continue following me on that. But anyways, I was on Twitter, and I saw a post through Jeff Gluck's Twitter, and he was retweeting a comment that someone replied to him, saying that this race is boring AF. To try to time to draw up another package, LMAO. Jeff Gluck replies, buddy, it's a 2-mile track. They always get strung out here after a while. This has been a caution-free stage. Doesn't matter what package you run. If you don't have a caution over 50-plus laps at Fontana, they'll be strung out. And then I replied, oh, look, someone who just wants to see pack racing for 3 hours straight. Ignore those fake fans, man. They don't deserve to be heard. And that is going to be our focus, talking about Auto Club. So let's first talk about the restarts of this race. It seems to be the common denominator with this new package that NASCAR has put in place, with less horsepower and more downforce, and that is restarts, crazy restarts. This is the time for you to make as many moves as you possibly can, and Auto Club has been known for already some good racing. It doesn't matter what package you run. The restarts at Auto Club are always spectacular. They talk about it at the start of every broadcast at Auto Club, how the track is extremely wide, wider than most highways and things like that, and that you can go 4, even 5 wide here at Auto Club. And, it was proven correctly. The drivers were doing that. They were getting, very racy on these restarts. What was awesome was that all of these restarts proved some of the best action and racing. And what's funny about a lot of these restarts is that the best parts were actually like 5 to 7 laps after the restart even occurred. So it wasn't necessarily that initial get up to speed lap where guys were fanning out and trying to make positions. It was really after that. I'll point out one thing that I mentioned in my notes, but I believe it was between Alex Bowman, Jimmy Johnson, Ryan Blaney. I think Truex was also in that mix as well. But they were having this excellent battle up in the lead. And I think at one point they were 3 wide or something like that. It was fantastic. And like I said, that was not on the get-up lap. That was like 5 laps into the run. And they're racing side by side. And they were 3 wide. Like I said, 3 wide for the lead. And I rethought about the package. I bashed the package because I'm not a fan of seeing constant pack racing. I don't believe that's what racing is all about, or at least motorsports. It's still, at the end of the day, an endurance race. You want to try to set yourself up towards the end so you have greater chances of winning, not being aggressive early on when you could very easily risk all that time and money spent into building a car and setting a car up for the race and then wasting it because you junk the thing and you junk other people too. That just isn't great racing. But I looked at this Auto Club race and I saw that moment and I saw the other restarts that happened in the race, and I really thought twice about this current package. And I truly think if it's raced correctly, it's a great package. And I think that's what we saw at Auto Club today. Drivers were getting, runs, and, they weren't really holding back from it. But they were also being conservative at the same time, too. They were waiting to make those right runs. And because of that, because of strategizing when to, try to make a move or try to just kind of hang in the draft, build some momentum, it proved to be a pretty good race. Now, we go back to that tweet, or we go back to that reply to one of Jeff Gluck's Twitter posts about how, this race is boring, it's all spread out. And this is where I get a little uncomfortable because it's still a race. If the leader's out there 5 seconds ahead of second place, well, obviously the rest of the pack didn't do a good job of putting themselves in position to try to challenge the leader or even pass the leader. That's a part of racing. You try to, if the leader is out 5 seconds ahead, well, then second place better figure out a plan to catch the leader as quick as possible, or try to strategize, make different pit stop calls. And that's another thing we saw at Auto Club. We saw some really good pit calls as well, especially since Auto Club is more of a tire race than it is a fuel race. You're not really going to the end of a fuel run, you're going to the end of a tire run. And I believe the tire run was like 26 laps to 34 laps, I think is what Fox put at the beginning of the race. I mean, it was short. It's almost like if you're going on a video game, like a NASCAR Heat 4, and you put the tire wear to like times 2 or times 3, that's almost like what it felt like in this race. The tires are just wearing out so quickly. So if you can't catch the leader because he's so spread out, well, then you better figure out your strategy and make the right strategy calls. And we saw a lot of that during the race too. We saw some guys try to hang it out long. Stenhouse, if you couldn't have guessed it by now, Stenhouse did it just like he did at Las Vegas, tried to stretch that run out, stretch the tires out. I think at one time Brad Keselowski and Clint Boyer did it. It actually helped Brad in the long run because he wound up finishing, I think, pretty good in the Auto Club race. But in general, it was a good race. And it was a good race in the fact that the restarts had plenty of passing and plenty of battling. Even during the runs, even though the leader was out far, there were still pretty good battles because of this package dragging you down, and then when slowing you down. And then it gives guys who are in the draft an opportunity to use that draft and catch back up. And we were seeing some pretty hefty battles. I think at one time you had like 2 or 3 Gibbs guys, facing like Almirola, Jimmy Johnson. I don't know exactly who was really in that pack. Maybe even Kevin Harvick. But even during the run, it was getting pretty, racy. And I think back to the old package in 2018. 2018 was the last year that they used the shorter spoiler, so less downforce, but they kept a lot of engine horsepower. And I don't remember battles like that. There might have been battles between like 2 cars, but it was never 5 or 6 cars. And with this package, we saw that. So I don't know why people are still complaining, because I think the package is honestly really good. It's, like I said, took a year. It took a year for it to really show its true strength, but also it was really good at Auto Club. It may not be good at tracks like Texas or Kansas or Chicago. It really depends. It really depends on the track. But this package does suit Auto Club fairly well. If you want to say that Hendrick is back, then sure, you can quote me directly on that, say it yourself, whatever. I truly think they are. I truly think that they figured it out after last year and really a handful of years. Hendrick really hasn't been dominating as they once were, or being in contention to win. And to see Alex Bowman, he pulled off a really good race. And I mean, he looked to have the same kind of, confidence and speed as Chase Elliott did at Las Vegas. And so, full credit to him for pulling off that win. But, all of Hendrick was doing really good as well. I think Byron had some few hiccups. I didn't really follow him too much, but as well as Chase, I don't know, he's kind of in the mix. I think he finished with a top 10 by the end of the day. Yeah, he finished 4th in the race. But you also look at Jimmy Johnson as well, and he struggled back in 2019, and he's looking good, especially after that run in Auto Club. He's looking good. Again, just like the package, it varies between race to race. Every track is different, so I'm looking forward to seeing if Hendrick can really continue the momentum that they're having. Also, someone who's having great momentum is Ryan Blaney, and I can't say Penske as an entire organization. It's just Ryan Blaney, and he's putting himself in contention every single week. And it's a shame that he had to come into pit nearing the end of that Auto Club race. And if Ryan Blaney had put himself into better position, in that final stage, I think Ryan Blaney would have definitely won that Auto Club race. He was looking so great in the first 2 stages. I thought he had it, and I feel for him really for not finishing, in the top top 3 really, after having to pit for his tire wearing out really quickly and almost going down. The post-race interview, he didn't seem too bothered about it. I think he's trying to play tough guy and, just not let that incident faze him. But I know mentally inside he's upset. He's furious. I really hope he gets that win soon. It's going to be coming for him in that 12 team. Whatever Penske did over the offseason, it's really helped Ryan Blaney more than I think Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. And it was a weird race, really, for Penske in general. Early on, Brad was not looking good whatsoever. But then as the run went on, he wound up finishing in 5th, I believe. Yeah. But then Joey Logano was like nowhere to be seen. He kind of had a I've been making this joke a lot, a Stewart-Haas Racing kind of day where he had so much speed early in the run, but he just kept falling back. It's like he was a trimmed out car or something and just lost handling. So yeah, that was really weird. But in general, I feel for Ryan Blaney, man. I really hope he can get out and get that win here soon. It's safe to say that Joe Gibbs Racing is definitely still in the form that they have in their history of racing. I think just something about Las Vegas was really weird. Again, they failed an inspection due to body modifications, and Las Vegas was just really hard on them. But there's something about Auto Club and the characteristics of Auto Club that they were just able to rebound very easily. I mean, Kyle Busch finished 2nd at Auto Club after Ryan Blaney had to pit. I watched his interview, and I really felt for Vince Welch, because usually when you interview Kyle Busch for 2nd place, that can be a dicey interview. But you can tell Kyle Busch was worn out. He was just thankful that the race was over and that he did finish 2nd, because I think that, it looked like they struggled. It really did look like they were not having a fun time out there. I mean, I was even at one point really surprised that Almirola was passing Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin. I'm like, what world is this? Like, what? A Stewart-Haas Racing guy passing a Gibbs guy? What? And it didn't look like they were having fun. And so maybe there is something wrong with the Gibbs cars. I don't know, but you have very talented guys in those Gibbs cars, and they still were able to go over those adversities if they had any. Again, I don't really know. No one really knows if they are struggling, really. Maybe everyone else in the field has just kind of figured things out over the offseason, and Gibbs just didn't do anything. Again, I'd be surprised if that was the case, but, overall, at least they finished pretty well. I mean, you got Kyle Busch in 2nd. You had Denny Hamlin with a heck of a pass for 6th place around Jimmy Johnson and Eric Almirola. And then you had Eric Jones got that final 10th place spot as well. I don't know where Truex finished. And then I know that Christopher Bell had a cylinder go down, and his day was done with engine issues. But overall, Gibbs looks to be back somewhat in full form. They just gotta, I guess, figure out qualifying or figure out how to get through traffic better. Not really sure what their weakest part is. Or it could be racing each other, because Truex had quite a moment early on in the race, pretty much cussing all of his Joe Gibbs teammates, as you do as Martin Truex Jr., as well as a spotter. They're pretty annoying. But I don't know. But overall, they seem to look good by the end of that race. So once again, I feel like the Auto Club race was really good. I personally enjoyed it for the fact that the restarts had enough racing and enough battling to make it exciting. Even during the runs, there were mini packs. I shouldn't say mini. They were packs of like 6 to 7 cars at times who were battling each other for positions. I thought that was a ton of fun. The strategies were also very intense as well, knowing that the tire run was very short. You had a lot of brake lockups going into pit road and things like that. So overall, the Auto Club race was fantastic. I hope everyone else enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Auto Club, whether it was a good race or not. I saw a lot of polls on YouTube and Twitter, and a lot of people did enjoy it. And I want to know your thoughts, whether or not you liked it or not. And what's your reasons? Back it up with some reasons. And I hope we have some good discussions in the comments. Let's jump ahead to the Phoenix race, which will be taking place next week at Phoenix International Raceway. So happy that they got rid of ISM because, oh boy, that name was not catching at all. I still called it Phoenix even when they called it ISM Raceway, but Phoenix International Raceway. And this is where a new package comes in, or an old package. It depends how you want to put it. But I believe, don't quote me on it, do your research, go to NASCAR.com. I know the official article is on there. But we're going back to a low downforce package at Phoenix. And I believe we're still keeping the horsepower as well. So I think short track or mile in length tracks and lower, they do like 750 horsepower. But instead of the 8-inch spoilers or whatever the big spoilers they have now, they're dropping it down in size. And don't even quote me on the size because I forget what it is. I just know it's a reduction in downforce. Now, will this improve the short track racing? I sure hope it does. I can't wrap my head around why the high downforce package wasn't working at a short track. I thought the racing would be a little bit more aggressive and more packed. But I think, thinking back now to what it was like last year, I think, especially at Phoenix, it was more of like a flat out, full throttle kind of race, and no one could really catch anyone else. It wasn't challenging the drivers. The drivers weren't struggling, and they were just kind of riding around. So I'm hoping that with the reduction in downforce, it does provide some better racing. We'll just have to see how it goes. I know a lot of people were happy about that, especially since Phoenix is now the finale race to the 2020 Cup Series. So if this Phoenix race proves to be entertaining and exciting, then we can hope for a very entertaining and exciting finale to the 2020 Cup season. If it's not, boy, NASCAR might have to put some work into the package. This might be the only time where I say NASCAR might have to rechange a package just for a finale race. Because if this goes back to what NASCAR wants to see. If NASCAR wants to see closer racing, more excitement, more unpredictability, then they might have to rework the package a bit. But I personally think the reduction in downforce will be perfectly fine. It will be a package that really helps the guys who liked the old package, the 2018 package, and before that, where you had less downforce and things like that. It puts some, more, I guess, driving into the driver's hands and, not much just, cruising, really. At least they have to fight for it every single lap. So yeah, again, in the comments, let me know what you think about how the Phoenix race is going to go and who will prevail. Again, this is the first short track race of the year, so can't really give you guys a basis as to who I think or what team or driver is really going to prevail at Phoenix. So it's up in the air. Let's see how that race plays out. And with that, that's going to be the close of episode 2 of the Bump and Run. Again, make sure you follow me on social media to stay up to date with things that I do on YouTube. Let me know if you enjoyed this episode, and I want you guys also to comment down below as to what you guys want to see out of this series. I want to be different. It's hard to be different, especially since there are other YouTubers that are doing the same thing as me, kind of doing race reviews and things like that. The only thing that's different is different in opinions, really, and thoughts like that. But let me know if you guys want to see something else. Maybe talking about headlines throughout the week, if you want me to stay with talking about race highlights. Sometimes it's hard for me to form kind of thoughts, about the race, especially if the race is going the way I'd like it to, and, I'm happy about the race and things like that, but maybe some people out there aren't too happy about races. So, if you want me to put up a poll on Twitter or something like that, after the races and things like that, wanting me to discuss certain aspects or maybe opinions on things, or let me know if you want to see something else. Again, like headlines throughout the week. If something comes up and you want my opinions on that. There's a few things I'm actually thinking about upcoming episodes. One of them is talking about the next gen car. That's one thing that I'm very outspoken about, is talking about the package and talking about what makes good racing and things like that. But I also want to talk about specifically the next gen car, and not whether I like the next gen car or not, but just the car in general. If you guys watch Areva on YouTube, he does these aerodynamic videos about the Formula One cars, and there's a lot of aerodynamic things that are going on with the next gen car that NASCAR is wanting to bring out in 2021. And I want to do a video very similar to how he does it and explain certain aspects of the car, because after watching a lot of his F1 videos on aerodynamics, I completely understand why NASCAR is going in the direction they are with the next gen car. So that's a video that you guys can look forward to in the coming weeks. I got spring break coming up in college next week, which is going to be awesome. So I should be able to crank that video out. But once again, let me know in the comments what you guys want to see out of this series. I also want to do the podcast version of this series as well. That's where the Bump and Run started, was trying to do a podcast last year. Let me know if you want me to bring back that podcast. So thanks again for watching. Again, if you enjoyed, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more of the Bump and Run.